Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Nicholson, and I'm here to, talk to you about some of your career and education options. So obviously you guys are more mature and more experienced in life, so I guess we're just going to run through some of the different options you have, and also what you might what you might enjoy doing. So let's have a look through. So just before we start, actually, I just want to show you guys a really quick video, so I'll pop that on now. There we go. So I guess that video was just about the different struggles that you actually might face coming into career options and a whole new career. But it's also really exciting. So let's get through it then. So I guess one thing that you might actually want to consider when pursuing a new career is what's actually in demand. So there are specific areas where there might be a skill shortage, or there might be a lack of that profession within certain areas. So that's definitely something to consider. The reasons why it's also beneficial to consider that is the government sometimes provides different incentives. So for example, an incentive they did with childcare was anyone that enrolled in childcare, so a bachelor in childcare, the government actually gave them $3,000 each year to go towards their HEC step. So that's something to definitely consider, because who wants a HEC step for the rest of their life? Stability. So another big one with regards to in-demand jobs is stability. So often, because they are in demand, you actually don't have to worry about not having a job. And then it's also often easy to get a job, so because there is a skill shortage, or there is a shortage with people able to do that position, it's often quite easy to get a job. So skill shortages in Queensland. So I'm just going to go through some of the areas in Queensland specifically that there might be a shortage, and so there's a need for. So in Queensland, special education teachers, medical, radiography, sonography, optometrist, motorcycle mechanics, panel beaters, bricklayers, painting trade workers, cabinet makers, butchers, and then also small good makers. The largest industry of employment on the coast is healthcare and social assistance. That's actually Australia-wide the largest employer, or the largest employment industry. And as well on the coast, retail, trade and construction. So they're both labour-intensive industries. With the Gold Coast being such a tourism-focused area, obviously cafes, restaurants and bars is an industry that's on the growth. So it's growing, and it's going to continue to grow as well. So this is just, I guess, a potential pathway that you might look to take. So you might look to have recognition of prior learning, so we call it RPL. So it's where you say, I've had this much experience in a particular industry or a particular job, and universities and TAFEs recognise that, and so you actually don't have to do that subject. You just need to prove that you have the skills and you have the knowledge regarding that industry or that subject. So that actually might get you a part qualification or a full qualification. So if it gets you a part qualification, you can then go through and then complete a Cert 1 or a Cert 2 or even a diploma and then go on to a bachelor's degree. Or if the RPL equals a full qualification, you don't need to worry about obtaining another qualification. So now the Queensland labour market, so some of the industries that are actually in need, so not specific jobs. So some of the industries including accountants, automatic trades, building professionals, childcare, construction, telecommunications, engineering, IT professionals, teachers, hairdressers, solicitors, and then as I mentioned, some of the specific jobs in demand are special education teachers, medical roles, motorcycle mechanics, panel beaters, bricklayers, and so on, and butchers and small goods. So obtaining an education qualification remains important as it gives a strong past and projected growth of higher skilled occupations. So what that means is a lot of the jobs now are requiring higher skilled individuals. So they're a lot more specific and they require individuals with specific skill sets and specific qualifications. So the Australian market is actually shifting away from lower skilled jobs more towards higher skilled jobs. So 64% of the jobs nowadays actually require that higher skilled education level. We have 29% at the medium skilled, so a diploma, a Cert 4, a Cert 3, and then there's only 7% at the low skilled level. So low skilled is Year 10, Year 12, or a Cert 1 or Cert 2. So another thing for you to consider is if you are deciding to pursue the education route and studying again, is that a lot of universities and TAFEs have a flexible study arrangement. So you could potentially go part-time or look to do night courses. So obviously we are aware that you might have children or you might have a part-time job or whatever it might be, you may require that flexibility. So rest assured that a lot of universities and TAFEs do offer a flexible learning option. Nowadays a lot of it's also online, so less face-to-face and more online. That way it allows you to do it in your time, at your pace. So labour market information is useful for those seeking employment. As you can make an informed decision. So if you are unaware of what you want to do, I guess researching and seeing what's out there and what's in demand can really help you make a decision. It also helps put into perspective the different priorities. So the different priorities, I guess, around choosing a career option might be the pay of particular jobs or particular industries, the flexibility, the stability. So it does all depend on your priority. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the careers page on one of the government websites. So I've got the link here. So what it does is it just helps put into perspective different jobs, how much you could potentially get paid, but then also the type of qualification that you'd need. So I'll just show you this. What I do, I'll take you just to the first page. So it's actually a career quiz. So if you're unsure of what to pursue or what avenue you want to go down, this could actually be really helpful with just advising and directing of what jobs are out there and where you could potentially go and what you could potentially do. So I'll go through it really quickly. So what you've got to do is you've got to select one, or you can select multiple per line, and then at the end of it, it shows you potential job opportunities that you could do. Yep, so it is one per line, so we'll just get through this really quickly. Okay, so now it comes to the results. So the results are pretty much the different, potentially the different industries, or different, I guess, specialist things that you might look I guess, go into. So the first one, just based on our random answers, was administration, so 33%. We then had technical, creative, people, helping, and then practical. So if you then scroll down, so the first one is administration careers that you could potentially go into. So if we just have a look at the first one, we've got accountants. So I guess the career is accounting, and the job is an accountant. And then it's got the potential weekly pay. So in this instance, it's $1,400 before tax. And then it's got future growth. So the growth of this one is strong. So what that means is if it's a job or an industry that's in the decline, you may not want to pursue it, purely because you don't know whether in 5 years' time if there's going to be a need for that role anymore. But if you are looking to pursue something long-term and something more stable, definitely look to something that has a strong future growth. And then the last column that it has is skill level. So in this instance, accountants require a bachelor degree or higher. So you wouldn't want to get anything below that. You would want to aim for the bachelor degree. That way you could then pursue, you could almost go straight into an accounting job. So yeah, we will move on now. Yep, so as I mentioned, the labour market information, so it can be really helpful with, 3 methods in collecting labour market. So as I mentioned, labour market can be really helpful with determining what avenues to pursue, and how to, I guess, get the job that you're after. So 3 ways that you can actually collect labour market information is, so know who to talk to, build networks and ask for help. So if you are wanting to be an accountant, why not speak to an accountant or approach an accounting firm just to get a bit more information about what they do, and to decide whether that's something that you would like to pursue or not. So research what is out there. So what job exists, and what have other people in the discipline done. So if you're interested in sport, like I am, I take a lot of time to research what different jobs are out there, but also how people got to where they were. So I would try and find somebody that was in the dream job that I wanted, and then I'd try and trace back how they actually got there. And then also try and figure out whether it's worth putting effort into a particular job or area. So again, knowing whether that industry or that job is in demand is really helpful. So definitely put in the research, I guess, before deciding to pursue a particular area or career. Growing employment prospects. So just this survey was done, and it's different ways that people in jobs now, or when you get to the future job, just ways that you can better upskill yourself. So some of it is upskilling computer technology. So nowadays, with technology being such a big part of what we do and how we communicate, just making sure you're familiar and you're comfortable and confident in that. So there's a few more just there for you to read. So when it comes to starting the job search, so I guess when you've figured out what you want to do and potentially how to get there, starting the job search. So then finally deciding you're ready to, I guess, jump back in. Here are just a few things to consider. So identify your strengths and match them to the job you're applying for. So obviously you guys have so much experience in a range of different areas. Don't discount that, because a lot of them skills can be transferable. So just try and identify your strengths, maybe from previous jobs or volunteering experience, or even if you are studying, just different strengths that you've picked up from that. Identify them and try and match them and address them to the job that you're going for. And then emphasize your relevant experience and skills in your resume and job application. So really take the time to put in effort to address what the job application is asking for, and take time to match it, because at the end of the day that really will play a large part in whether the employer decides to give you an interview or not. Resume writing. So just a few things to pay attention to when you are writing a resume. So match the application to the specific job. So don't just have one resume or one cover letter that you apply for every job for. Make sure you match it to the actual job that you're going for. Be very specific, and as I mentioned, try and target keywords that they mention in the job ad, and key criteria as well. Make sure it looks and sounds professional. Write to the job requirements. So as I mentioned, the key criteria that the job mentions, make sure you're addressing them in your application. And then spelling, punctuation and grammar, make sure that is 100%. I once heard an employer say that the first thing they do when they get job applications is they chuck out the ones that have spelling or grammar issues, because at the end of the day they don't want to hire somebody that's not going to have high attention to detail or just reread their work. So just make sure you have no spelling or punctuation issues in there. So one thing as well to keep in mind is expanding your job search. So many jobs actually aren't advertised. I think the statistic is something like 40% of jobs aren't advertised and only 60 are. So expand your job search. So take time out to actually approach employers. If there is somewhere that you would be interested in working in, approach them and have a conversation with them, because they actually might have a role that they haven't advertised. Personally follow up on your resume and application. So don't be afraid to give the employer a call just to see how your application's going. That's also extremely beneficial, because they're gonna know your name, and they're potentially gonna even look for your resume while you're on the phone, which could really help with it standing out. And then if you are unsuccessful, ask for feedback. Feedback will really help you with then applying for the next role, or even just tightening up your application or your resume, just to to improve it for the next position that you go for. Job interviews, they're always fun, aren't they? So job interviews, so I guess just some things to remember when you are going for a job interview is don't undersell your strengths. So be confident with the strengths that you have or the skills that you've learned, and don't undersell them. And another thing is to demonstrate what you bring to the job. So again, it comes back to knowing what they're after, researching and really analysing the job application so you can tailor your responses to what the job application is asking for. And another thing is examples. Try and have examples in the back of your mind that you could pull out and you could use for whatever questions they're going to ask, because examples really do articulate how you're going to do the job well, or how you previously have done jobs well. So as I mentioned, so do your research. So I'm going to quickly show you a website. So this is the Labour Market Information Portal that has been set up by the government. So what they actually do is they review different regions and different areas. They also review different jobs, and this really helps identify what jobs are in demand and which aren't. So do your research, have a look at this website, and just take your time to navigate around it, because it really is helpful in just trying to get your head around what different jobs are out there. Yeah, so I just want to give you guys a really quick example. So Maria is a 47-year-old who has approached our Job Active Centre looking to pursue a new career. Her background is in nursing, however, she hasn't been in the industry for about 10 years, and she's actually looking for something different. Marie has always loved kids and could definitely see herself working in childcare. So as childcare is an industry in Queensland which is in need, we definitely encouraged Marie to pursue this, as she would have a stable and rewarding pathway and career. So for childcare, the minimum qualification is a Cert 3 in Children's Services. However, a number of employers will actually employ staff who are currently studying a diploma in Children's Services. So what that actually means is you can work and study at the same time. So if you are relying on income, or if you are looking for just a different, study setting, something like this would be really, really great. So TAFE Gold Coast actually offers a diploma in Children's Services, which can be completed over 18 months, which consists of roughly 15 hours per week, which if you think about it really is only 2 days. So a standard teaching week with Gold Coast TAFE is a Tuesday and Wednesday from 9 to 1 p.m. at Southport. So that actually gives Marie time to find a part-time job or a casual job, potentially work 3 days a week and study 2 days a week, or even just it gives her time to spend with her kids. So I guess that's just one example of how you could pursue a new industry or pursue something that you love. But don't be disheartened, because there are always ways to work and study at the same time, and even ways to pursue a new industry or new career. So I hope that's been helpful. Thanks.